let me check to see if we are live. This is all new for me. So let's see. Okay, let me open up the chat. Okay, all right. I see a message from Sydney. Happy Sunday, Sig. And see in chat. This should be fun. Let me see. I don't think I'm live yet. Okay, no, I don't. I'm looking at my phone and I don't see me on the live stream on my phone.
Oh, let me look. Because I'm scared to touch my. Wait, it says watch live now. Sig the solo cruiser.
Okay. Are
It
we
seems
on?
like it's doing. Are we?
Okay,
Are you
okay,
for
okay.
real?
Okay. I can't see it on my phone, but it says okay. I'm seeing the message that I see Mary Ellen. Okay, messages are coming through, so I guess we are on. Guys, excuse me. I switched over to a new stream. Well, it's something that we use at Cruise Kibbutz, but I've never been in the driver's seat before. So I'm starting with that. And so this is all new. And then usually when I've done my solo cruise chats in the past, I had my crutch with me. I had Kiki. I had Siobhan. So now I said it's time to take the training wheels off. I got to learn to do this myself. So here we go. And then to add to that, I usually have my questions. I don't have my questions, but I'm with C, I'm with Carlene. She is the queen of chat. So we are going to wing it today. But hello, everybody, and welcome to my solo cruise chat. I'm bringing this back just for a few episodes, so it won't be here forever. But I have a few guests that I was just dying to talk to and share with you all. So I wanted to start it up, and the first person on my list was Carlene with See. So hello, Carlene, welcome.
Hi, Sig. Thanks for the invitation.
All right. Now, before we get started, let's back up and go through the chat. Okay, now that I know that I'm on live. Okay, so we have Sydney is with us. We have Mary Ellen Dillon. She says, "Hey, Cheryl, looking and sounding great." We have Keisha in the house. She says, "Sig, Carlene." Team Reese Travels. That's my buddy. Hey, we got the training wheels off, and whatever mistakes we make today, we'll improve for the next guest. Let's see. We have Jonathan Page and Team Reese Travels. Thank you for coming, and thank you for being a channel member, Jonathan Page. Oh wait, I can pop these on the screen. Hold on. All right, there we go. Says, hey. Hey guys, happy Sunday from the UK. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hello.
All right. And then I have Sydney telling us we're live. I have who's Shay? Shay's Adventures. Hello, and happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you. Okay, then I have a few people telling me that I'm live, so that is great.
It must have been the blooper reel when we were.
Yes, because I'm like, am I live or what?
We were very live.
All right. Okay. Going down to we have Dave Perry. Welcome in. First time solo cruiser in 2025.
All right, Dave.
Yes, Dave. That is so exciting. I am so happy for you. And I know you are going to enjoy the experience. All right. So we have, let's see, people saying hello to each other and happy Sunday. We have a special guest, Kimberly Cooper. That is my sister.
Oh, wow.
All right. And Sydney says we are both the queen of chat. I don't know about me. I know Miss Couch Cruiser, Miss Solo, Miss Chat. I mean, I don't even know what to say. So she does live streams so well. And the thing that is funny to me, I remember the first one that before you were doing your first one, and you were talking about how nervous you were and how, or was that with our Cruise Kibbutz chat?
Maybe. It was definitely a learning curve where I definitely had, I knew I could do it, but I had a lot of nerves.
All right. So with that, I I am going to go ahead and get started. Now, first, usually I have a bio to read, an introduction. I do not, so I'm about to wing it. So this is Carlene of See It with See. Now, I met Carlene. I don't know when I first met you. I know I first met you in person
I
on the
know.
Carnival celebration. Was
It was on Carnival Celebration, and Sid caught me in a compromising position.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Let's just say I was hanging out with too many bloggers and enjoying the carnival drink packages. And I met Sid the second day on Carnival Celebration. And I was just like, she's gonna think I'm crazy because I was legit like, I need to see her miss. Like,
Yes, I remember meeting you on the Carnival Celebration. Now, I think we had interacted before. Well, obviously, we had interacted before on online, probably through YouTube and chats and everything. So now I know that that Carlene, she is a solo cruiser, but she's also a solo land traveler. So I want to get into both of those. She has sailed many different cruise lines as well as a luxury cruise line. So we're going to talk about that too and talk about what those differences are. Now,
yeah.
please, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat at any time, and we'll take your questions from the chat as well. But now, in case we have people here that are not familiar with the channel or this is their first time meeting you, give us a little background as to who you are and what you do.
Sure. So good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sunday. As some of you are resting, some of you are in between football, some of you are cooking, getting ready for the week. My name is Carlene, and my channel is See It with See, which started in 2022. As I was, already kind of traveling, but I had a friend who had popped by in the middle of the pandemic and was like, "Why every time I stop by here, you're watching these people travel like you travel?" So turn on the camera. So after about one, I won't say failed attempt, but not completed attempt at vlogging, I decided to, from every trip on out, to just pick up the camera and document it to show people that, you can, one, show people that, there's a lot to see in this world. I know I'm very much a visual learner, so I need to be able to, see what's going on. So that's why I named it See It with See. And again, it's been on the YouTube street since 2022. I've been to, I think I hit 36 countries, even though they're all not on the vlogs yet, or I don't think they're ever going to get on the vlog. I did a lot of travel before becoming a vlogger, and 28 cruises. So, yeah, just wanted to show folks, the world, and hopefully my information kind of helps prepare you, watchers, listeners, etc., for your travels, and just, giving you some ideas of things to do, things not to do, and just show you what may or may not be for you. So that's my channel. I live in DC.
Okay, now and then you are a travel advisor as well, right?
Yes, yeah, that was another element of it. I started vlogging, and I had the nudge to become a travel advisor because naturally, traveling so much, I had friends who would reach out and be like, hey, what are your ideas about this? Your thoughts about this? So I kind of, had the inkling to do it, and then I was literally on Carnival Valor. And two separate conversations, one with Midships, who's also a travel YouTube channel, mostly he does kind of cruise news, and one more person. And it was kind of one of those situations that, like, I had a conversation, like, you have a gut instinct to do something, and then you have these validating conversations. And literally, like, these were two separate people who I just randomly met, like, walking around the ships, weren't trying to, push me or urge me into anything. It was just kind of one of those, like, confirming conversations of, like, all right, add another element to your business. Don't just, show people these things, but also coordinate. So I guess, pride myself on door to destination support. Currently supporting some young ladies who are in Cancun, and there's a whole tropical storm coming. So, making sure people are situated, because I know, a lot of times, like, travel can be, it's a lot of elements, it's a lot of moving pieces. And if you don't travel a lot, you don't know how to navigate things. So particularly for, the people who I book who are solo travelers, easing some of those nerves, easing some of those doubts and concerns. So I take all those freak out calls when people are like, there's a tropical storm coming, or, I'm scared. I don't want to be in the room by myself. So, I pride myself on kind of easing people into the travel experience. So,
Oh.
yes.
All right. So let's take it back a little bit. Let's go to the very first solo trip. First, was it land? Was
Yes,
it cruise? It
it
was
was land.
land. So
It
tell
was land.
us about that. Where did you go?
Mhm.
What was the experience like? Was you scared? Were you scared? And first of all, why did you decide to do it solo?
Okay, so my first solo travel experience was very cliche.
Mhm.
I read Eat, Pray, Love because at the time the Julia Roberts movie was coming out. So I decided to read the book. Or maybe I read the book before. No, actually, I take that back. I read the book and that got me started on my yoga journey. However, in the book, she does a lot of solo travel as she is kind of like navigating things in life. So first that book kind of introduced me to yoga, but then another element of that book was that this woman was traveling alone and having these different experiences. So after reading that book, I was kind of like, and it's by Elizabeth Gilbert. Love a bunch of little life nuggets that are in quotes in that book.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna travel, solo. Because at that point, I was an educator. So I was in a school. I only could travel during spring break.
Mhm.
And then at also that point in time, I was living at home. So I had like a lot of flexibility, extra money to spend. So I was like, let me do this. So my first solo travel trip was to Paris. And I don't know why I picked Paris. I think because in my head, Paris, for some of you history nerds, buffs, has a lot of overlap with DC in regards to art, infrastructure and architecture. Like Lafont, that's from Paris, came to build some elements of DC. So I was like, well, let me start there. Only a 6 hour, 7 hour flight over, and kind of go from there. So that's where Paris, France was my first time ever traveling solo. I was only nervous. Yes, I was nervous. And nervous in the sense because I didn't know what to expect.
Mhm.
But kind of what eased my nerves is when I got into the line at Dulles Airport, there were like, because again, I was traveling during spring break as an educator, there were all of these kids in the line. And they're just like showing their passport stamps as we're getting ready to go through security. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm like, okay, surely if these little 10 and 12-year olds are like, we got this, I can do this too. Yeah. So yeah, I basically at that point what I did was I took a travel company's itinerary and duplicated for myself. So I'm telling on a little bit of a tip. I don't even know if the companies will do that anymore, like show you, but it used to be like Gate One Travels and some of the bigger companies would show you their itineraries. And so I basically was like, I'm gonna book this myself. And I did that. Actually, or did I use it? I think I used no, I take that back. I used the agent from my senior trip from college.
Mhm.
But then after that, I started getting more into like I was kind of like, well, I can do this on my own because I'm very attentive like to details. So I mimicked basically a larger company's itinerary. I booked that hotel. It was near a metro stop. So yeah, and the rest is kind of history. It was interesting though. When I got there, I was very jet lagged, and that was my first time traveling. So my family was kind of like, very nervous. And so I did not call anyone.
Oh.
And I look at the phone in the airport or in the hotel, and like I have a message. And sure enough, like my family had called and they're like, did she arrive? Did she make it? Everything was fine. But yeah, I mean, after doing it over and over again, I would say that's the tip in
Mhm.
it. Just keep doing it. And the more you do it, the less nerves you get, the better you get at it. But then also be mindful that like stuff will happen. Like you're gonna take the wrong exit. You're gonna get on the wrong bus.
Okay.
You're gonna walk into the wrong store. And like that's all a part of the travel experience as well. So
Mhm.
embrace that.
Yeah, and that's I haven't done solo land travel international before, and And that's one of my fears. I still have a fear of that. And I do think, oh man, what if I get on the wrong bus? But if you think about it, if you get on the wrong bus, well, just get off. So
Mhm.
I guess.
And this was in the day and age before like Uber even,
Uh-huh.
popped off. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like my first snafu was I had arranged transportation at the Paris
Mhm.
airport. Well, you've been to Paris airport, it is huge. And
Mhm.
I didn't realize that all the different concourses and you're here and there. And so I could not find my travel shuttle and
Mhm.
literally had to develop a plan B while I was in the airport. And
Oh,
eventually,
wow.
made it to but that was kind of a learned experience for me
Yeah.
of like, okay, well, the next time I need to make sure that I have this down pat, or maybe I
Mhm.
don't need to, arrange a transit and just catch a cab or see if the hotel is off of a transit route where I can just get on a shuttle.
Okay.
So those are all the things. But yes, it was not a foolproof trip.
Okay.
But I just kind of kept my cool, figured out, looked at see who might be a reliable source to ask for information, and just went from there.
And so at the end of the trip, did you feel like, oh, hey, well, obviously you did. I can do this again. I mean, did you feel that immediately?
Yes, yes. I mean, I think, and still I get that where like I don't have my sigh of relief until like I am back into the airport. And
Mhm.
this is again 36 countries later.
Okay.
I don't feel like, I'm not off my guard until I am on that return flight
Mhm.
home per se.
Okay.
So yeah, I still get it a little bit, but it's not as intense anymore. And I've also learned how to curate travels to make me feel comfortable.
Okay.
So, like for instance, when I went on the trip to Regent for Istanbul, I knew I was gonna be arriving to Istanbul late, not really late, but 8 o'clock. And by the time I got my luggage, it was gonna probably be like 9 o'clock.
Mhm.
So for me, that was kind of like I'm gonna arrange a private shuttle, a private transfer, because this is something that I don't feel like trying to figure out, whereas if I had arrived at noon, maybe I would have tried to figure out, okay, let me try to transit, let me see if there's a shuttle, those kind, or bus, a metro, a
Mhm.
train. And because it's daylight hours, I have time to mess up. But at that point I was like, you know what, or now I also know, for like European hotels, you got to go up a couple stars to actually get, with the like what a 3 star might be or like a 3 star or 4 star, and like Europeans might not actually look like that, and it could be still a little ran down.
Mhm.
So for me, because I need that level of comfort when I'm by myself, particularly like a TV, hot water,
Okay.
those kind of things. I have learned now of, okay, there are certain things that I need just to make myself comfortable, so I'm not as
Mhm.
anxious.
Okay, well, that gives me comfort because when I finally decide to do a land trip, I'm going to book it with you. So you can just pay for everything for at least that
Sure.
first time. So, and then I know, I'll have you on speed dial. I can,
Yes. I
I'll be able to
literally
contact you.
was texting the client at 1 o'clock in the morning. So
Oh, goodness.
I'm that person, and I mean I'm that person but then also that agent that like I don't like for this group that's out, like I'm not gonna rest well until they get back tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know what it feels like to reach out for help, and there is no one who is able
Yeah.
to speak English, answer the
Oh,
question.
my goodness.
So that's kind of my thing. I'm like, all right, let me make sure we get you here, here, and here.
All right, and then we have crazy homebody girl saying, "I've been saying to myself, I'm about to get my eat, pray, love on." So you're
Do it.
probably inspiring her, and she has a solo cruise in March.
Awesome.
All right, let's see. Let's go down and let me see if we have any questions. I did see someone else asking about Regent, and we're going to get to that in just a second. Let me see. All right. Okay. We just have a lot of hellos. We have MH Family Adventures that joined. Keisha H. I think I already said Keisha. We have Paul with Travel with PMB. We have Mamie. Let's see if I missed anyone. Welcome, 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 welcome in. And okay, so let's go from so you did your land travel solo. So what made you decide to do a first solo cruise? When and what first solo cruise that you do? Give
I
us
know
it.
exactly. Yeah. So my first cruise in general was like 1996. My mom had arranged a church group. Actually, my mom was like kind of a little bit of a travel agent. She was the one who had did like the fundraiser trips for church.
Mm-hmm.
And so I traveled or I cruised my first time in 1996 and had not cruised again until like 2017 Carnival Vista with family. And so again, it was something about like the pandemic of not being able to, and it's why I traveled a whole lot during the pandemic, but it was something that about like not being able to, like being stuck in the house. I was watching a lot of YouTube because I had that wanderlust feeling of like, I need to go. And so I was watching, I think I was just maybe just watching a video for land base, and somehow in the stream, a cruise popped up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like, oh, so while this video is going, I literally get on Carnival, and there was a $25 cruise on Carnival Legend out of Baltimore.
Wow.
So I live in DC. Baltimore is like 45 minutes right up the road,
Mm-hmm.
and or at least the port of Baltimore is 45 minutes right up the road. I was like, huh, well, I've done all this other stuff. I went to Jamaica during the pandemic. I went to Morocco. I was like,
Wow.
a $25 cruise, like it was 193 with the port taxes and everything included, in a 7-day cruise for what was it, 193, I said.
Mm-hmm.
I went ahead and booked it. So then, because I had not cruised so much, I mean, I had not cruised that much, or really at all, since 1996, or not 2017 at that, or 2018 that point, or with family at that point. I was kind of like, okay, well, let me kind of study up, and then study up in the sense too, because it was all those extra protocols in place
Mm-hmm.
to, cruise during the pandemic. So then I started like watching videos to study, because that's kind of what I will always do. If I picked a place, I think Morocco was the first time. I've been to Morocco like 2 or 3 times, I can't remember. But like when I went to Morocco solo, I had used YouTube to prepare me for that. So similar, flash forward to the pandemic, I was like, well, let me watch these YouTube videos to figure out, what it's like. And then I just started like watching. The next thing I know, I was like, okay, it started with one. Then I started finding like a cruise community of like folks that look like me. So
Okay.
yeah. And so then it became like from cruise number at that point, I think like 4, to now it's like we're at 28.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so it was like watching a lot of the things, because I think, yeah, it was watching, being motivated. And then I will also say, like, as a solo traveler, I enjoy cruising because like land base, you are, particularly as a solo traveler, you are always on point. Like, you're like, okay, what restaurant am I going to go to? What hotel? What bar? What's going to be the entertainment? How do I get museum tickets? How do I do this? All these things you have to coordinate,
Mm-hmm.
where cruising is just very easy. You just have to make sure you get on the ship at the times they say you get on the ship, and everything else is kind of taken care of for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been using kind of cruising to do those like truly relaxation trips, because like land based takes a lot out of you, because you're just always, again, on point, head kind of on the swivel, just looking around, being mindful, all those things. So yeah, cruising has become a favorite for solo travel for me.
Oh, so it's a favorite. So do you prefer Landover?
Oh, that's hard. It's a half and half. I mean, for my channel purposes, like I know my channel people, like people who watch my channel, love my cruising over
Uh-huh.
my land base.
Okay.
So even if I decide to stick in a couple of land based things, I have to keep cruising in there, because that's really kind of the hook for the channel.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it just kind of goes back and forth between like what I want. Something that Regent kind of exposed me to, and I'm thinking I might be doing a little more. I don't know, but I do like the actual ships versus itineraries, I still think. But talking to people on the Regent cruise, a lot of people have been so many places in the world on a cruise ship. And I know for me, like I don't need like a week in a destination. Like I can not cover a lot of ground in 1 or 2 days.
Oh.
So cruising, even though people say, well, that's not really travel because you only get a day or two in port, there is a way to cover a lot of ground as a traveler, see different countries while you're on a ship. So I'm kind of, I don't know, I like to just keep it mixed up. I don't know. It's a balance, I guess, between the two.
Do you hear that?
It was a whoosh.
Yeah, I think that's a ship's horn. I think that's the. Have you done your mustard drill yet?
I
You,
did. I don't
you
need
came up here all this. You have not.
it.
You
What
were
you gonna
ready.
do? I've been waiting for that damn
Oh,
one.
oh goodness. Oh, this is okay. Now I'm seeing the chat. But here. Okay, so let's do this. We can't go any further until we do the mustard drill.
Let's do
And let's do
it.
all right, okay. So I'm doing this without help this time. So I'm gonna try my best to get this right. You all see
Okay.
my screen. We got a 30-second timer here.
I can see it.
So wait, I can't let you see the questions. Hold
I don't
on.
see the questions. I only see the timer.
All right. All right. So we are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
Favorite cruise ship?
A celebrity ascent.
Solo or attached cruise buddy?
Solo.
Okay, you got a 14-day vacation, land or cruise?
Cruise.
Okay, 10-day cruise, Regent or Conquest?
Regent.
Your favorite Disney park?
Oh shoot. Animal Kingdom, maybe?
Favorite destination visited?
South Africa, Cape Town.
Oh, we are out of time.
Oh, I'm always wanting to do that.
I mean, not you having the hat and
I was
everything,
ready.
just ready to go.
I was ready. I
Okay.
was like, I know she hasn't done this in a long time, but my sense is that she might bring back the mustard drill, and I'm gonna be ready. I
Okay.
think I did good. That Disney question was hard. Whew.
Okay. All right. So let me try to figure out how to unshare this screen. All right. So we didn't get through all the questions, but we're still going to go through them.
Okay.
So the rest of the questions, let's see. Where did we leave off? Did we say favorite cruise port?
No, we did not say favorite cruise port.
Okay.
I would say Aruba.
Okay, Aruba, and then the best cruise restaurant ever.
Ooh, best cruise restaurant ever. It has to be like
Yeah,
a specialty dining or just experience.
just overall. Yeah, you would have lost anyway because this.
I would have. That was tough. I would actually do, and it's not a restaurant, but Regent
Uh-huh.
Seven Seas main dining room, Compass Rose,
Uh-huh.
was good. Like for a main dining room experience,
Uh-huh.
it didn't miss. So I know it's not they had like actual restaurants on board, but that
Mhm.
was I look forward to going to the main dining room.
Okay, and we're going to get back to that just a second. But I had two more questions. What's the scariest excursion you've done?
Swimming with sharks in Bimini.
And the last one, this one was for double points.
Okay.
So sharks or the Carnival Sunshine Cruise Cabin?
Which was scarier?
Which would you rather do again?
The sharks. Give me the sharks.
Okay, the sharks over staying in a Carnival Sunshine Cruise Cabin. Now, for those who may not know, is can we talk about that? Or
Yes, we can. Oh yeah.
so why would you choose sharks over a cruise cabin on the Sunshine?
Because okay, so if you haven't watched this was one of my more popular videos. I got on the Carnival Sunshine for Super Bowl 2024, and I was enjoying it. Lovely ship. I will say lovely ship. Enjoyed the ship a lot. Really great cruises out of North Carolina, South Carolina. However, I got back to my cabin at 11:30 and turned on the light, and I have nicknamed the Roach Scooter. Is going clean across my headboard. And I think if it was anywhere else but my headboard, I would have probably just like stepped on it and called it a day. But I think because it ran across the headboard, I was just like, wait, I gotta sleep here. And at this point,
Yeah.
like, and y'all know me on ships, like I go hard in the paint until about 9 o'clock and I crash. So for me to be up at 11:30 means I was really having a good time. and was getting back to my cabin to rest, and basically just woke completely up because I'm like, if friend is going across the headboard, like, are there other friends? Are there other friends in bed? Am I
Yes.
going to fall asleep and it end up in my
Mhm.
mouth? I don't know. So so yeah, I would definitely, because it interrupted my sleep. I really couldn't enjoy the cabin as much as I wanted to. I would say it was
Uh-huh.
definitely the bug encounter on Colorado Sunshine. It was a mixed bag in the comments. Some people, it was twice. Somebody said I planted it because yes, people travel. I travel with a bag of roaches in my
Yeah,
suitcase.
right.
But it was interesting though, a mixed bag of the comments, because other people
Mhm.
had mentioned they saw something similar on Sunshine. So I would imagine the ship needs a little something. It could be better now, but it was a mixed bag. Some people said they saw the same thing, and some people said that they didn't.
Mhm.
But I will say, if they can get that situation together, I really enjoyed the Carnival Sunshine ship because they put all of the elements of your bigger ships into a compact. So they have a Fahrenheit 555, they have a bonsai sushi, they have a sports
Mhm.
bar, they had all the things. But it was just that situation. I will say Carnival at least rectified it in regards to good customer service around checking my cabin, making sure that I got a little credit in the spa.
Mhm.
But that was a little disturbing.
Yeah, I think that would be a little disturbing for me too, and it even almost broke my heart because it's like Sunshine. That's one of my favorite ships, of
I
course.
would say it is one of my, like, people try to knock Carnival A, and then people try to knock Carnival's older ships. I will
Hmm.
say, if I were to take that piece of it out, and I think I'm very clear in my vlog of, like, that is one of my favorite ships, and it's coming to, or one of my favorite cruise experiences, and it's coming to Norfolk, so it'll be a little closer to me being in DC. So I might try to get back on it now that it's moving up from Charleston
Yeah.
to Virginia. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, that's good. So it didn't. I mean, that wasn't enough to make you say, I'm never cruising in the Sunshine again." So
No, I mean, like they say, ship happens.
okay.
And yeah.
Okay, we have a few more people that joined us. Autobot Diva, hello and welcome. We have On the Go with YOLO saying hello and happy Sunday.
Hey,
All right, all right. So now let me see. Wait. We have tripping with Jay and Michelle. Short C. Hey C, and what's up everyone? Let's see. And we have a question from Dave Perry.
okay.
Ask, are Ubers safe for solo women?
Overall, yes, I have not, and I know we hear all the things. I actually mixed it up in regards to, do I Uber or do I take a cab? It's for me, it's all about convenience. I am, because I've discovered sometimes Uber, when you're ready to, get on the ride and get from the airport to wherever you're going, you got to wait another 20 minutes, and the taxi is right there. Like, there's a taxi cab
Yeah.
right there. Like, Miami is one of the ports that I have now decided, like, I'd rather get in a cab in Miami versus wait for the
Mhm.
Uber, because there's literally a lineup of taxi cabs as soon as you get there. So why wait another 20 minutes for a Toyota Corolla that might be driving like they're from the pit of hell? So it's kind of like, I'd rather at least get in a cab where I know we got a bubble. But yeah, I mean, I've been catching Uber since, actually, Uber, I think, got us out of a sticky situation. What was it? The second Obama inauguration. I
Mhm.
was in DC. The cab would not take one of my friends and I back to Southwest quadrant of DC. And I was
Mhm.
like, hey girl, we got this app called Uber. I don't know what it is. And because we literally got in a cab. The cab had did something illegal where we got, a couple had got out, we got in, and then the cab driver said he wasn't going, which is illegal, because if you're technically in the back of the cab, you should be able to be taken where you're going. But I'm
Mhm.
also kind of like, I'm not going to argue with somebody who doesn't want to do something for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Particularly when, like, my safety is involved, like driving. So we got out, and I was like, well, there's this Uber, this is app called Uber.
Mhm.
But I've heard the stories. I know, there has been some unfortunate events that have happened. I would say Uber has, increased safety features. Anytime I'm going somewhere, like, I have a bunch of people who have my location. They usually say it's somewhere in the middle of the ocean is when they try to track me. But I never experienced it, but I would just say, keep your wits about you. I try to sit behind the driver, so that, just think about all the bad things that could happen. So like if they can reach this way, what I'm saying, versus me sitting right behind them, I can give get little arm
Yeah.
hooks I need to um those kind of things. If somebody's extra pulling up, if the license plate doesn't match, like I remember there was a young lady at a college who got in a car, she didn't check the plate. I am very adamant about checking the plate. And if it doesn't line up, like just don't get in it. But I personally have not had any issues, and it's on my like, what is it? It's in my repertoire of things that I use when I travel. But I would just say each place has its own thing. Like for instance, Uber in South Africa, you don't want to get the cheapest Uber. Like you don't want to do Uber X. You go up in price because those people care about their car more, So and actually it's a tip that I also use now here in the States of like certain places I don't catch the Uber X. I'm gonna go, maybe up to whatever the next category is, to, get a better experience. So yeah, I was just like anything can go wrong with anything, like any method of transportation. So you can't dwell on like what could go wrong. I think it's more about being aware of what can go wrong, and then how do you make it as right as possible. And like my lawn guy says, he's like, Carlene, when it's your time, it's your time. Just so but I do try to just at least keep my wits about me, and not do anything too wild. But
Yeah. And I agree. I do those safety practices as well, as far as, and I love that, both Uber and Lyft, they have where you can send somebody, your location so they can watch your travels and everything. So I use that. And same thing, looking at the plate. And I get nervous if they ask. I love when they, say my name. I do love that. And then
okay.
I get nervous if anyone asks me, well, where are you going? I'm like, you don't know where I'm going?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
And they also can be playing games so they don't want to take you. So that's
Uh,
another thing too. But
mhm.
another tip regarding Uber, it was on the lose my track it yourself. So have an idea of what it looks like on Google Maps. So
Mhm.
for instance, even though I did a private excursion, not a private excursion, a private transfer going to Istanbul. And I would imagine the company was reputable, but the driver, like coming out of the airport, I was just like, he is going through like all the back roads. Well, he
Uh-huh.
was dodging traffic.
Okay.
But I was definitely like looking just to make sure that we were moving
Yeah.
in the right direction. I saw the time started increasing, so I was starting to get a little like, But I kept watching, and basically it was a traffic jam right in front of where he was going to drop me
Okay.
off. So I
Okay.
didn't like panic or anything like that. But I
Yeah.
will say, like, for your awareness, it's kind of like, are we moving towards the general
Okay.
direction of where we're supposed to be going?
Mhm.
And so I mean sometimes they do know the back roads that avoid like traffic. I will say too, like being international, like sometimes the drivers are going to do things like if they know a certain area is shady, they
Mhm.
might drive through the stoplights, or they might, decide they're not going to drive through a certain area. But as long as you're moving towards like the right general direction,
Mhm.
you're usually okay.
Okay. All right.
And
So,
don't fall asleep in it.
oh no, never.
Yeah. That was another situation. I mean, I'm not blaming it on the young lady, but that was
Oh,
probably one of the more recent cases. The young
oh,
lady had left work at like 3 o'clock in the morning,
uh-huh.
fell asleep in the car. Her family was tracking her, which
Okay.
helped. And they were able to track her location. And unfortunately, but they were able to track her location.
Mm-hmm.
But it did have a bad outcome. But, at least her family knew versus,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
happy thoughts.
Yes. All right. So we have Tina Drake. I'm excited whenever I see, first solo cruise. So she's saying hello, and she says she's on her first solo cruise in 15 days.
Hey, the countdown is on.
Yes. And we have Iris is here. Hello, Iris. How are you? Welcome in. Welcome in. Let's see. And is that, oh, let me scroll down. Okay, this is kind of stuck. Let me see. And we have, see, Crazy homebody girl saying that's how she's been learning about cruises. Lots of YouTube, yeah. And that's
Mhm.
the thing. Even with, I'm sure you too, but even with me, I still look at cruise when I'm going on a new ship or something. I know some people like the element of surprise, but I still use
Mhm.
YouTube to look at other ships as well. So
Mhm.
all right, and we have, hey, look who's here, Regina Davis.
Hey, another solo travel extraordinaire.
Yes. All right. Oh wow. Look. Sydney says her first cruise was in 1978. And
Okay.
it was a church cruise.
Oh yeah, them church trips were the thing.
All right. We have Quality Childcare saying hello, hello, and
Hey.
welcome in. All right. Let me just kind of quickly scroll down because I see I'm a little behind to see if I spot any questions.
Yeah,
Real
if you all want
quick.
any tips from us, let us know. We got plenty of knowledge to share.
Oh wow, I'm way behind. I'm just now seeing somebody saying something about the mustard drill. Okay, so no, now we have to. Oh yeah, it's time now.
Okay.
So it's time to. We talked about we talked about land. We talked about cruising. So let's talk about Regent. First of all, how did you? I mean, how can you afford Regent, girl?
Oh, I ain't gonna lie to you. I can't.
So
I
let's
can't.
talk about Regent. How you got the cruise and what the cruise. Give us everything.
Yeah. So being a travel agent, I anything I do, I like to study. So I decided this year I wanted to go to one, become accredited through a cruise kind of agency, travel agency. So I went to a conference this year, and I every in that conference in particular, they do a lot of raffles. And there was a raffle for basically almost all cruise lines, and so everybody was packed at the Carnival one. Like their thing was, because they have all like 7 different brands under the Carnival umbrella, so their area was just insane. Royal Caribbean was insane because everybody wanted to try and get a free trip on Utopia of the Seas. Celebrity. So I decided, like, okay, it's a lot of people over there. I'm just gonna go around the outskirts, and I wandered into Regent's section, and they had a giveaway, and I just for giggles was like, let me just apply and do this. Um, and there were a lot of like steps to it. So I figured, watching the agents who sell Regent, and what I know now being with Regent, a lot of them are older travel agents. So they were kind of like, how the heck does this work? I gotta share this on Instagram and email somebody through this app. So I was just like, well, that increases my chances.
Oh,
And sure enough, I won a trip. I won a
mhm.
10-day Mediterranean cruise on their second oldest ship, but I was just happy it was a 10-day Mediterranean cruise, and it had 2 countries that I had not visited yet.
Mm,
So the ports were Istanbul, Rome, Dovrenik, Croatia, and Barcelona, Spain. And it was 10 days at the end of October. And I just told them yes before I even got my PTO together. I was just like, I know I'm going. I had a bunch of Royal Caribbean cruises lined up because I want to hit all their Oasis class ships. But I was just like, we're gonna cancel all those, and I'm getting on this 10-day Regent, because like when else would I have opportunities to sell like Regent Seven Seas? And
mhm.
wasn't really familiar with the brand. Like I just knew it was in the luxury section
Yeah.
of the cruise conference. So I had to look this up, and I was like, and they sent me the paperwork for like, because it's a cruise giveaway, I had to do some tax paperwork, and I saw the
Mhm.
price on it, and I was like, well, gracious, like I know about a solo tax, but it was pretty expensive. I had not seen that price tag on a cruise before, so I just had to pay for my flight, and I was just like, yes, I'm doing this. So they gave me an opportunity to bring somebody else on board, but I am truly an only child, and I love my space and I love my independence.
Mhm.
So I was just kind of like, is there anybody I want to like, be locked in a room with for 10 days? And I was just like, nope, everybody stay home.
I understand. Yes.
Love y'all, but stay home.
So, okay. So, what about how did you feel about the experience? What was different than just a regular cruise line?
Yeah, so Regent has its people. So I was saying to actually like Kristen, and shout out to the people that like I know that I didn't realize like, it was a 6 to 7 hour time difference, and I would just wake up on my phone and just start texting people, and it'd be 3 o'clock in the morning, like it would just be off times. But at one point, I had texted because Kristen was kind of like, "Hey, what are your overall thoughts?" And I gave her 3 buckets, and I was just like, "This for me is I'm seeing 3 kind of categories of people. There are literally the people who could not imagine themselves on any other cruise experience. So they're literally all of their cruises are Regent, Oceania. They'll dip down to Holland America, when they want to take their family. Silver Sea. Then there are people who are like coin shamed of like, girl, you would have fun on Celebrity, like, come on, But because their friends got wind of, they were taking a cruise, they got, bumped into like taking Regent, and I'm like, you would have been fine on that.
Mhm.
And then what did I say? I forget my third bucket, but they're definitely like people who like that's their thing. Like, or I'm sorry, and the third bucket is people who have never literally sailed on any of the other lines. So they think that like this is a be all end all experience. And I'm also kind of like, you can get this same experience in a bigger ship, maybe the ship within a ship concept, etc.
Yeah.
But what you do see is you see a lot of older travelers who that's their way of seeing the world, like sitting down and talking to people. I got to learn because I kept asking them like, why this line? Because in my head I'm like, with that price tag I can give
Yeah.
you about 8 cruises.
Right.
They're gonna be a mixed bag, but it's gonna be 8. Talking to them, a lot of people were saying like, well, I'm older, so I need that door to destination. Like I need that person to pick me up from
Mhm.
from my home. I need them to set up because Region does like an all-inclusive package where you can get everything from transfers to pre-cruise hotel, post-cruise hotel,
Okay.
flights included. So, for people who are older and they were saying like some of them were of like, just a fixed income in the sense of like they're literally living off of the wages, previous wages or their investments, those kind of things. So they were like, they love the fact that when they paid that one price, they
Mhm.
knew they would get off that ship and not owe any more money. So I see the value in it.
Mhm.
A really good community building. So like the most crowded, and I say crowded, most not crowded, most the best attended solo program I've ever encountered. And every night you're seeing the same people over and over and over again because it's a lot of like widowers,
Mhm.
widows, older people who are just living it alone,
Mhm.
and they value like connecting with other cruisers. So I definitely see value in the experience for Regent.
Mhm.
But for me, I wouldn't see myself locking myself in that tier of a ship because of how frequently I travel. And
Okay.
I would say just for me, like I don't need some of the elements that it brought. Like
Okay.
I could care less if this is a $300 Versace charger in front of me. Like,
Okay.
give me my food.
Okay.
Whereas some people were like, "Oh, do you see this?" And I'm just like,
Uh-huh.
just put it on down on the table. Like, but it was people on board who valued that. And I remember one older gentleman, a lot of traditionalists, because of the age difference, where like one gentleman was kind of like, yeah, he went on Regent with, I'm not Regent, he went on Virgin with his granddaughter. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, John, tell me about that.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
he was like, I can't believe they were in their knickers, like boxers,
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
in the dining room. Like he was really, because he was like, no, when I
Mhm.
dine on this, I need my smoking jacket and I need this and I need that. So yeah, I mean, it's for some people, and I can see who it's for. It's just not a thing
Mhm.
that like I would have to do. But I will say it did pique my curiosity related to luxury. So
Okay.
there are a couple of luxury lines that like I would be interested in trying, or I will also be interested in trying one of their newer ships.
Okay. Mhm.
I would be curious to see what that experience is like, but it also piqued my interest in regards to like Explorer, and it piqued my interest in for Silver Sea, or doing the ship within the ship concept. So like
Mhm.
bumping it up to like a celebrity retreat or
Yes. Yeah.
every now and then though, like if
Yeah.
I'm still the girl that I can get on, the MSC Seashore, and we're gonna have a
Mhm.
time regardless. but it just kind of, I'm about the experience, so
Yeah,
it was a
because
good experience.
how many cruises did you do this year?
This year,
Yes.
I think I'm gonna finish at 10 or 11.
Yeah, so yeah, 10 or 11, 14 Regent cruises in a year, that probably wouldn't fly. So,
No, I can tell you it's not gonna fly. Uh-uh.
okay, we have a question from On the Go with YOLO. Was your flight included or was the win for cruise only?
The win was for cruise only. Yes, I had to do my flight. I had to do my pre-close cruise hotel or pre-cruise hotel, and all my transfers. But there is a package that you can book with them. And some people were saying when you add all that, because I think one of their packages even has like business class included in their flights.
Okay.
So when you add all of that, it kind of gets you to that number. It makes sense.
Mhm.
But it was just kind of a thing of like, yeah, to do 10 cruises, like you said, 10 cruises times that amount of money is not feasible. But even some of them though, I
Mhm.
mean, the guy John, who he was talking about how, who went with his granddaughter Virgin, like I think he did 4 Regent cruises that year, this
Okay.
year.
Wow.
But a lot of them also kind of, they get on board. They don't do the newest ship, so they'll get on the Navigator, they'll get on Voyager, they'll do the pre-cruise, perk, whatever it might be, pay it
Mhm.
down that way. Yeah, so.
Okay. And see, Regina has a question, airline related as well. What airline did you fly and how was the experience?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Regina, I like this question. We have a goodie coming from that experience. So I flew Air France. The reason why I flew Air France is because it was an open jaw flight. So I had to get to the cruise started in Istanbul and it ended in Barcelona. So typically from this area, I would have been on Turkish Airways if I was just going, if it was a closed loop back and forth to Istanbul. But because of the ending in Barcelona, I ended up on Air France,
Uh-huh.
which is a Sky Team, is their alliance. And going there, I was in economy, which I was fine with that because going from East Coast over is shorter. It's like a 6 hour, 50-minute flight. And but it had a little a snafu. So I get to my seat and this lady is sitting in my seat
Oh,
and her
okay.
2 children. Like it's like her and her 2 children. So I know she's like, I'm like, ma'am, this is 44E.
Okay.
And she's just kind of like, don't know. And I'm like, okay, like let me not be a jerk and make this lady like move all her stuff and this
Oh,
2 year old and 10 year old. So I
uh-huh.
ended up taking her seat on the other side, but I was like, can you confirm that this is actually your, like the seat on the other side is your seat? And then I had to get in the seat and make sure it worked because I'm like, you're not about to make me sit in the seat that doesn't recline for 6 hours.
Right. Yeah. Oh my
Then at
goodness.
one point, her like the 10 year old is like fell asleep on me,
Oh,
and that lasted for like 20 minutes before she woke up and got him off me. Because I'm like, this is awkward. Like, I can't, like, I don't want her to wake up and what she sees is me doing like this to her kid. So
okay.
I'm just sitting there like, I'm trying to do like this, but he is like, this kid feels like a brick. So finally she wakes up, and then, the plane lands, thankfully, or whatever. But coming back, I decided to upgrade my ticket. So I flew, what is Air France's? I flew business back home, which was what is it, the route that made sense because coming back, it's about an 8 hour flight. They had a really good price to upgrade it. They had a really good price to upgrade it. And then it was a longer again flight, and I was because you're flying back into the sunlight, you don't like pass out and fall asleep like how you would, So it ended up being worth it. But Air France, that's a long story short. I would say it's not my Air, Air France is the first. When I flew to Paris that first time, that was my first time ever on an international carrier. I feel like their product has declined since that first time flying with Air France way back in, I can't remember when was my first solo trip, 2011-ish, 2010-ish. So I would say their overall experience, just even boarding, it's kind of like it was a lot of like, yeah, it took them 30 extra minutes to get everybody on board because he just let everybody on. It wasn't the strongest flying experience I have
Oh,
had. It wasn't the worst, but it's just I've experienced better.
okay. So would you do them again or would you like look
Because
for
at the
other?
end of the day, I gotta get somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that like complicated,
Okay.
but it's just not one of my preferred carriers. However, I do know I'll have to get on them just being where I am in this part of the world. Like you're going to be pretty much Delta, United, American, so British Airways, Air France, Lufthansa.
Mhm.
Like it's just certain lines, so they're going to go certain places. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So we have a question from Mamie. She says, "What cruise line is best or solo cruise friendly?"
Oh, I mean, best is a hard one because it all depends maybe on like what you want.
Mhm.
So for me, I know every experience. It was to the point now that I know if I get on a certain ship, I'm going to have a certain experience. Like for me, I know when I sail Royal, I'm coming back very relaxed because for me, Royal doesn't have a ton of activities that really, get me going. I know when I sail like Carnival, I'm going to have to pick. Okay, am I going to the nightclub? Am I going to watch a show? Am I going to bingo? All the same time.
Uh-huh.
Um, Celebrity, I love it's like relaxed but kind of cosmopolitan feel, sophisticated
Mhm.
feel. But it's hard for me maybe to say like what's best because like I'm a bit of a chameleon when it comes to like I'm gonna make it work.
Yes.
Like I have not had an experience where I was just like, this is pure trash and I want to go home. It's kind of like I'm gonna figure it out. But maybe just tell us like what are you interested in? And I can say from my experience what I think is the best line for that.
Mhm.
I can't pick best.
Now, kind of piggybacking off of that, I mean, some solo cruisers, like sometimes when and I don't know if this is, maybe you can let us know what you mean by best, but
Mm-hmm.
I know some look for like best rates, some look for
Mm-hmm.
the best ship for meeting others.
Mm-hmm.
Have any opinions on either one of those?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, best rates, people don't like them. MSC. um, Solo experience. I mean, I could say Regent did a pretty strong, solid job. Virgin has done some cool things in regards to at least kicking off their first day really hard, strong for solo travelers. I have not had a significant. I don't even. Yeah, no, I did celebrities solo. It didn't knock my socks off.
Yeah.
Solo meetup. It didn't knock my socks off. I liked going to dinner with people,
Mhm.
but did you Norwegians tried their solo? Yeah. I don't know, but I guess it depends. It depends. And also just for me, it's like I know what I want to do and
Uh-huh.
I'll figure it out.
Mhm.
I will say like I know what has been horrible. Like I can tell you like, I want Celebrity to do a little better job with that extra solo tax that they include on some of their sailings.
Yes.
Hey, Royal Caribbean, your solo girlies might not ever be able to get on these big old iconic stars, particularly if they are, traveling again like a lot like us. Like, not saying it's not accessible, but if you're
Mhm.
going on 10 cruises, that $4,000 to $7,000 cruise puts a big dent in your, budget for the rest of the year. So
Mhm.
I will say there are certain lines that aren't as,
Mhm.
I guess, solo cruiser budget friendly.
Okay. All right. Now it's 4:30, but we got a few more minutes because I started off the live, trying to figure out whether I was live or not. So I probably lost a couple of minutes there. So
That's
we'll
cool.
go. Let's see. We have Ina Pando. I hope I'm saying that right. But she asked, what tips do you have for solo cruisers? She's taking her first solo cruise this year. Yay!
Yes. Well, congratulations for starting. I would just say, research, research, research. So like watch if you are a person that like you want to make sure you can get on the ship first. So like make sure you research, have all your documents in order. Um think about what experiences you want to have. So, do you want to do the excursions? Are you gonna be more interested in just being on the ship? Like figure that out for yourself. I will say if it's your first cruise, because sometimes I skip the solo meetups. But I will say for a first cruise experience to try to get to the solo meetup or meetups. So that you can at least like connect with some people, particularly on that first day. Like if you don't get to any other meetup, like go on the first day because that's the day when everybody is kind of curious, wants to know who's all on board. So try to at least make the solo meetup that first day.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, it could be so many other, tips. It's decide if you want to be a community diner, or do you want to just have your table for yourself? And if you do, select table for two so that you are just, by yourself, or, expect that they're going to put you with a group of people, those kind of things. But yeah, not maybe, who was that? There's
Oh,
so many, there's a lot of tips, that we can
yeah.
share. Ask us, if there's any particular areas that you want tips on related to the solo travel experience, and we can help you there.
Yes. Okay. And so kind of, well, not sort of related, but I'm going to make it related. So what do you think about group cruises for solos?
Oh, I love group cruises for solo because it's the best of both worlds. Like, you can literally decide how connected or disconnected you want to be, but you always know there's going to be a core group of people. And like, I have met so many great people on, group solo or on group cruises as a solo. Actually, I even did a group cruise? I don't think I've group cruise yet with anyone in a cabin. Not yet. It's coming up though. It's
Uh-huh.
coming,
Okay.
but not yet. So yeah, I've only done group cruises with, just myself and then connecting to the group. And I've met like Carlene of See was the first group cruise that I did, and I was so excited when they rolled out because I had saw other vloggers, interested
Mhm.
in. And I was just kind of like, I don't want to be the token,
Yeah.
I just didn't want that. Sorry, but that just was not my preference. So when Melanie at Sea rolled out, I was like, bet, this is it. Like, I literally dropped everything. I was like, I'm booking this cruise. I had already sailed, matter of fact, that same itinerary, same ship, but I was just like, this is gonna be different. And I immediately like connected with like Regina now. So
Mhm.
Regina and I always end up on the ships together. I met Kristen, like, then I finally met Sig, like I met Jen. Like, so now it's to the point that I would say group cruises are helpful because then all of a sudden you find this group of solo cruises, and particularly solo cruises tend to travel just a lot, I think.
Mhm.
So there's been so many times that we're all on the same ships
Yeah.
because so you end up like, okay, I'm gonna be on this ship, whatever day, and it's like, oh, there's somebody else that I know is gonna be on here. So group cruises are a
Mhm.
great way to kind of expand and find your tribal tribe and people, but you also can still have that moment where you're like, all right, I'm not gonna, either I'm gonna ask somebody like, hey, come out to dinner with me, or I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna still, stick by myself. But then there's always all these other activities that you can kind of plug into or pull back out of when you want to. So yeah, I highly recommend. And that might be a tip too. Like, if you are nervous about doing a cruise, if you want to travel solo for the first time, but you are not sure, like maybe plug into a group.
Mhm.
And that way you can toggle around with being by yourself, but knowing there are some
Mhm.
people, with a common purpose on board.
I just thought of something. I have a great idea for
Mhm.
you.
Okay.
I think, I mean, especially with you being a solo cruiser,
Mhm.
you should do a group cruise.
Oh, well, I am doing a group cruise.
What? Tell us about it.
So
You,
I am doing I'm doing the Good Government Getaway. It's on Labor Day 2025 on Virgin Voyages. Thank you, Sig, for the plug. Or thank you, Cheryl. I call Sig. It'll never
either
be
or,
Cheryl. It's
either
always gonna
or.
be Sig. If I really like you, you have a nickname. Like, that's been my thing. But anyway, I have a group cruise, Labor Day 2025. And that is on Virgin Voyages Valiant Lady during a 5-day Dominican days itinerary. If you ever did that itinerary, it always packs a little heat, a little punch. It's a little fun group that goes. We're going August 29th to September 3rd. And still have some spaces for you. So you can email me at cwc@gmail.com if you want a quote. Virgin has been doing a lot of promos right now.
Uh,
Actually, I gave somebody a quote, and for a solo insider, it was $1,100, and that's going to include your Wi-Fi, your drinks, all that stuff. So I would just say, whether you're interested in my group cruise or not, look at Virgin Voyages right now because they are really trying to release a lot of their itinerary. They basically have sales going on until the end of the year, just till December. So, yes, would love to have you. You're like, why not call the Good Government Getaway? Well, a part of my identity is I'm a government worker, and we, maximize our PTO. So, yeah, wanted to get away for the holiday, and it's a good lineup because you might need 1 or 2 days off work, so you should be okay.
Okay, great. And you're welcome for the idea. I mean, if you need more, just come to me.
Hey, throwing out there.
All right. All right. So we have a question from Team Rich Travels. Do you think a person's first solo cruise should be truly solo, or would you recommend the group cruise setting for the first time?
Hmm. I will say it depends on the person and how nervous you are. Like there are some people who would truly just be like, they'll go anywhere, they'll figure it out. If you are a nervous wreck about truly being by yourself, I would highly recommend going on a group cruise as as a solo traveler. If you are kind of like, you just have the regular jitters, and just go, because I will say cruisers are just friendly people in general. You're gonna find a lot of people on board who are from your hometown, who are solo like you.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, on Regent, like people were getting up and asking me, like, hey, I see you're dining alone. It was almost to the point I was like, leave me alone. But like people would come up and ask, like, hey, do you want to join us for, snack or whatever, afternoon tea, like so. I would just say that it depends on how anxious you are about your travel experience. And if you're highly anxious, then get with a group, because again, usually group cruises are sponsored by a travel agent. So
Mhm.
that person is going to be giving you recommendations related to like pre-cruise hotels. Sometimes they'll have shuttles set up for you. There'll be activities. There's group chats that are going on while you're on board. So I would recommend that for you. But if you are just kind of like this, you're a regular land-based traveler and you want to do a cruise, then go. Or you're kind of like, this makes me a little anxious, but I can figure it out, then you'll be okay either way.
Hmm. And then another thing to think about, like if they're nervous, but it's like, man, I really want to say that, I'm solo, going solo. You can still go solo with a group, but you don't really have to participate, with a group. But it's always good to know
Mhm.
that, in case you do need somebody, you know that there are other people on board, that you can connect with. So yeah.
Absolutely. Like I know watching like Rich and Jazz, how they develop their business. They're like every Melon at Sea, there's one person or two people who pick up their bags and they never they
Never.
never engage again. So it definitely happens.
All right, so we had quite a few people to join us, and I don't know who I've mentioned or who I didn't, but I remember seeing Phil and Dee come in. Who else? Your favorite couple? I don't think I said they were here. I think I mentioned Iris. I think so.
Uh-huh, you did.
The Jen Danielle, she's here. She's saying hello. So, all right. So we're kind of winding down now. So tell us, where can we find you online?
Yes. So of course you can find me on YouTube at See It with C. Would love for you to, come on over to my channel, hit subscribe. I'm about 20 subscribers away from 3,000. So would love for you to, tap that subscribe button. But in regards to like what's coming, I'm very close right now to
Mhm.
finishing up the Regent. Like I was telling Sig, I said, Sig, I have to go live from my phone because like we are this close. And if you are a content creator,
Yes, I understood.
don't touch it. So we are this close. It might happen this evening. I might premiere, or tomorrow I might premiere the Regent, or the Regent Seven Seas Voyager vlog. The first one should be out, but I also have Disneyland Paris coming out. I have another Disney vlog. I have my business class experience on Air France. If you're interested in seeing like what that's like, I have cabin tours. Basically, wherever I go, I take my camera with me. So it's a great channel to kind of see like, all right, what is the solo travel experience? In a variety of
Mhm.
settings and places. And then you can find me on Instagram. So whenever I'm traveling, if you want to live look at like what the day-to-day life is, and sometimes it's stuff that doesn't make in the vlog,
Mhm.
you can follow me at See It With C _ on Instagram. So yeah, that's where I think the people can find me tomorrow. If you love the way that I run my mouth. I am doing a Monday meetup, which is basically every Monday I have some sort of content for you all. So I'm either going live, doing a premiere, but tomorrow is a big trip announcement. So if you're curious to hear what that trip announcement is, tune in tomorrow at 8 p.m. And that will be on my channel for you. I'll be talking a little more, and hopefully we'll be talking about more details about this Regent cruise. As I'm
Mhm.
hoping this blog can get out.
All right, and Miss Crazy Homebody Girl says she just subscribed.
Thank you.
And then we have I saw some of Dave's messages about going on a solo cruise. Was it you that said you wanted to go on a solo cruise so you can say you did or something like that? But let's see. Dave says he goes solo camping 6 months a year. So this should be a piece of cake. So Dave is looking to do
Oh yeah, if you do
a
camping,
cruise. All
Dave,
right.
kudos to you. I don't think solo camping is on my radar. And now talking about there's not too many things that would make me nervous, but I would think solo camping because I know the minute I hear a crickle or a crackle outside of that tent, and then the whole factor like trying to set up the tent. Like before I
Uh-huh.
even got on here, I was trying to set up a light situation. So I only can imagine like trying to set up a tent where I have to live in. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because you gave up on the light already, right?
I did. Oh, it's going back. It's look in the box to go back to Amazon. So, Dave, if you can do solo camping, yeah, solo cruising is a piece of cake.
All right, and we have another subscriber. Winnebago. And then we have Iris. Yes, Iris, I agree. Let's get C to 3K. Yes.
Thank
And
you.
then we have Team Reese Travel dropping the link for us.
Oh, thank
All
you,
right.
T.
All right. So, and my last question. So, if
Okay.
I want to book land travel, if I want to book a solo cruise, how do I do that with you?
Absolutely. Email me at seeitwithc@gmail.com. For cruising, I'm more than happy to try to like mix and match and find something that meets your personality if you don't know your exact dates. If you want land based, I do ask. I have learned because there's so many hotels and accommodations throughout the world, try to bring me something that you might at least a general sense of where you want to go or stay or the things you want. But yeah, just email me at seeitwithc@gmail.com. Let me know what you're interested in, and then more than happy to get you some quotes or if you're not ready to book, no pressure. I'm more than happy to give people just tips. So if you're kind of like, hey Carlene, I'm about to book something, I'm about to do something, is there something you want to consider? Yeah, either DM me on at CMC at Instagram or send me an email. I frequently tell people, I just rather people learn and do and experience than like it's all about trying to get you booked.
Okay.
So yeah, so if you want to book or you want some tips, just reach out. I like talking if you can't tell. So
Yes, you have made this evening very easy for me. I was nervous. I need a crutch, so I need a list of questions. I need everything set up. Kiki and Siobhan will tell you that, but I was like, okay, I got to make this a little bit easier. And I said, especially when you said, hey, we can wing it. I'm like, wing it? What are you talking about? And then
wing it.
afterwards, I was like, wait a minute, I'm with C. Okay, if
Yeah.
I can wing it anytime, it's this
I'm
time.
gonna find a story to tell you, and I'm gonna go all the way around to answer your question.
All right, so that is all I have. But before we say goodbye, I just want to ask you any last thoughts, anything you want to share before we say goodbye.
No, I would just say this is a really good time to plug into my channel because I'm literally doing a camera dump. So I am trying to get away from just this last couple of months because I have a goal for my channel. I know exactly what that goal is for the end of the year. So I'm going to be doing a lot of premieres. I have stuff from all the way back in July, which was the Alaska group cruise, all the way to the cruises. I'm not done cruising for the rest of the year, y'all. So there will be a lot of content coming your way. So I know as the holidays slow down and you're cooking and watching, preparing
Mhm.
your dinner for Thanksgiving or you have those couple weeks off at work, there's gonna be content just chugging out the quickest I can get it out because I still am a full-time worker and I got like 3 side hustles. in a business.
Yes.
But I usually try to stick to every Monday there is a new vlog or some sort of content. However, to hit my goal and then get my camera empty so that I can give you some good content next year. Next year it's gonna be a whole lot of new land-based adventures next year. Yeah, plug into the channel, hit the notification bell because it's basically I'm on this whole sprint at the end of the year to just basically chug out content to get my cameras empty. So tune
Okay.
in.
All right. Exciting. Exciting. All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and call it an evening. Thank you so much for agreeing to be my guest. I will
Thanks
say
for the
that
invite.
stay tuned for next month and I'll put the announcement out. But I do have a guest for next month and I'll announce that soon. It is December 8th. So December 8th, 3:30 p.m. But again, Carlene, thank you so much for being my guest and making it so easy
Thank
for you.
you, Sig, for all of your support. Sig runs an unofficial group home.
Oh,
The Sig,
goodness.
the solo cruiser group home for traveling women.
That's right,
But
man.
no, but honestly, Sig, thank you always just for being, so supportive in YouTube and people come into your city and you're like, let's have lunch. You hear that somebody's transitioning through and you're like, how can I support? So thank you for all that you do and kind of being like, I would say like a bit of a leading driving force in regards to solo travel in the YouTube community. So shout out to you.
I don't even know what to say to that, but thank you. Well, thank you. But so with that, I guess we'll call it an evening. All right.